Hey, what's going on? Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Travis Patel, and today I wanted to create a video explaining the differences and the different strategies that we have here in 2017 when it comes to our Facebook advertising. Any paid advertising platform, they are always updating their terms of service, they're always updating their algorithms, trying to not only deliver the best content for their user base, but also make their company and their IPO and their investors money. So they're always looking for ways to kind of improve on all those facets. And we need to be updating our Facebook advertising system to kind of go along with these changes that they make. So something that worked last year might not work so well this year, and something that worked 2 years ago might not work at all, or it might be working again. So you want to really look at your strategies all the time when it comes to Facebook advertising. It seems like about every 3 months or every 6 months you're going to see some slight changes going on, and every year we have a complete swap of what we need to be doing with our advertising. And the only way we really know that this is happening is we're testing. We're always looking. Even when we've tested out something on a new product, on a new winner, something that's really taking off, we'll take old strategies that might have not worked in recent days or recent months and try them again, just kind of always rotating, always swapping our strategies just to make sure we always know what's really going to make us the most money on our advertising and with our business. So, like I said, today I want to talk about the strategies that are working in 2017 and really focus on the differences from what was working in 2016. 2016 we had a complete change of how I was advertising on Facebook. We had some bumps on the road along the way. We had some successes that were going really well. But what I did in 2016 was completely different from what I did in 2015. And then now in 2017, there's some very distinct differences I want to point out to you. Now, number one, a big difference I'm starting to see is duplicating is okay. Now, sometime last year, I had saw an official Facebook webinar where they had mentioned that overlapping audiences was a big issue. They really looked at that negatively. So I took that as, let's not duplicate, because if you have multiple ads targeting the same group of people, then you're going to have audience overlap. Because the whole point is Facebook doesn't want to show the single user only advertisements from the same business. They don't want to only show your ads, no matter how much you're bidding on the auction, no matter how much your daily budget is. They want to diversify the content that the user sees just for that user experience. So in 2016, we weren't duplicating. We were really avoiding duplicating at any level as much as we possibly could. Now in 2017, we have kind of a different outlook on duplicating, not so strict in a sense. We're still trying to avoid overlap whenever possible, but duplicating on very large audiences, really anything above 1 million or even 500,000, I really don't mind duplicating the exact same audience a few times over. Anything a few million up, then I'm really not worrying about it at all. Now, if you're in the 20,000, 50,000 range on your ad reach, then yes, we don't want to be reusing that 15 times in a single day. But duplicating your ad for scaling purposes and for testing purposes is not an issue. We use this very often this year, where our first initial test sometimes for a manual bidding ad, for example, will have 10 different ad sets that are all targeting the exact same thing. We might be testing different bids, or we might be having one slight change, but the whole targeting and the duplication of it is all in line. So really what we're doing is we're throwing 10 variations out there. Facebook is going to show that ad to 10 different groups in our broad millions of reach audience, and maybe this pocket in the first 2 ad sets converts a little bit better in the beginning, so Facebook gives that favor and it continues on that quality conversion roll. So that's kind of one way we're using to kind of find good starting ad sets. It doesn't work all the time, and you are investing more into your ads going through, but as you're going to see throughout all my points I mentioned here, it's really, we want to spend as much money and get as much data as possible, smart spending, and that's really what this is about this year, really giving Facebook the data it needs to really improve. So, number one, duplicating is okay. Number two, broader audiences. You'll kind of see how they all kind of fit together. We're duplicating for scaling. It makes scaling very easy, and it also makes, like I said, testing to find the right starting ad set very easy. Now we're going broader audiences because it makes duplicating a little bit better. It's not a big of a problem, like I mentioned, because the larger audience you're dealing with, the less chance you're going to overlap on that audience, no matter how many times you duplicate. So not only is that really helping the duplication side, but it also is just converting better. Before we were doing our initial ad test, we might start out with what I call our best buyer estimate interests. So that'd be those very distinct groups that are very dialed into the niche, magazines and publications, brands and products and all that type of stuff. To really dive into those dialed groups in the niche. Well, this year we're going more broad, where I'm starting out a lot of my ad sets and a lot of my product tests doing the largest interest in the entire niche. So for the cow example, we might target cattle or livestock, and those have millions of viewers each and reach, and we're really letting Facebook do the work for us as we're giving it more and more data and allowing it to find who we want it to find for us and who's interacting with our ads and our products. So broader audiences is working really well. Now, like I said, this fits in with the entire strategy at play because we're able to duplicate when we're scaling. We also want broader audiences when we're creating manual bidding ads. That's very important because we want to have a large audience to play with. Smaller audience I've not had as much success with, and I've only played a little bit with manual bidding. As you're going to see, I'm going to give you some case studies over the following weeks here to show you what I've learned, but I'm still very early in my stages of playing with these techniques. So far, broader audiences, very large, not being specific, is helping a lot better and doing a lot better in 2017. We've never had that be the case for my business and my strategies until this year. And really, that's a great thing, because if you can target a 50 million reach audience and just let Facebook do its thing without having to worry about finding all different groups, then you have a very long-term sales stream and income stream rolling in there that can add up very quickly. Whereas before, we were starting with small pockets and really having to add hundreds or thousands at a time to get a large scale to where we were selling thousands of units per day like we wanted to. All right, so point number 2, broader audiences. Point number 3, going in line with the same thing, higher budgets. 2015, early 2016, I guess it was mostly 2015, we were doing the $5 budgets, low daily budgets. Now, I know a lot of you guys watching right now, you don't have the budget to go beyond $5 a day maybe. That's all you've got. If it's all you've got, then no problem. Spend what you can to learn and to get things started. If you have a really great product and a really hot product, it doesn't matter if you spend $5 a day, you're going to get a roll and you're going to make money quick. But I'm going to give you some suggestions on what I suggest spending. And like I said before, we need to be sending data to Facebook. And to send data, we need to be spending money. So a lot of the strategies we're using this year are spending more money. Like I said, we're doing a lot of manual bidding. That strategy really costs money. This is a weave out point for a lot of newcomers, because you're not going to be able to spend $1,000 per ad set just to test to see if you want to carry on with it. And that's how we're going forward with our manual bidding, because we're doing $1,000 a day budgets, but really monitoring that so that we're only spending about a quarter of our daily budget. So if it's $1,000 a day, I want to be spending about $200 to $250 a day of that budget to test. I let that run 4 days. And that sounds very familiar. If you've watched any of my content before, it's always about 4 to 7 days I let ads run before I really make a judgment. It doesn't matter if I was spending $5 a daily budget, if I'm doing $50 a day, or if I'm doing the manual bidding of $1,000 a day. I'm going about 4 to 7 days just so Facebook has time to show me all the different pockets. Now, if we see it's a huge loser beforehand, obviously we shut it down. But if I'm making a judgment call and letting it run through and it's on the fence, then we give it 4 to 7 days, no matter what it is. Now, our higher budgets, we have auto bidding. We're still using that a lot. That is our standard practice of advertisements. If an auto bid with a large, broad audience is working, then we start to duplicate that and create manual bidding ads and really play with it from there. Until that point, though, it's all auto bids. We're just trying to get Facebook to give us the clues at which area of its audience, which products should I be showing them, and give us the hint of what we need to follow through with. And once we find that hint, once we get that hint on that smell on where to go next, then we start to really duplicate and create those manual bid ads with really high budgets. So Auto bidding, we're going about, at very minimum, I'm usually starting about $50 a day, but very minimum audience sizes, I'm going about 500,000. Again, broader audiences, so 1 million plus is my preferred area. And if it's a niche specific audience that has tens of millions, then that's even better. But for the auto bids that are in the lower end reach, we're going about $50 a day spend. Most of my auto bid ads at start, I'm going $100 a day. And again, I'm letting those go about 3-4 days at least to get that data to kind of see what's going on. And then we can, like I said, from there, we can duplicate, we can do manual bidding, we can check out all those other dialed interests, and even from here, we're even doing things like separating single interest at a time, which we find something that works. And I didn't do that in 2016 just because it seemed like grouping interests together were kind of giving us a little bit better CPMs, better costs across the board. But this year, when I'm getting to the scaling phase, which is the third phase of our three-step process, we're really starting to separate as much as possible because duplication is not bad, again. So we're able to scale by also separating ad sets by individual interest if we want to. So, 1, duplicating is good. 2, broader interests or broader audiences is what we're going for. 3, higher budgets. 4, I've been talking about it the whole time, data is king. We are spending some freaking money this year on Facebook ads, and it's really showing the promise of what Facebook's supposed to be doing. It's really helping. It's causing buyers to come in a lot of different fronts. We're really focused on retargeting. When you have this data coming in, the whole point is to use it. So it's not just about retargeting directly to that single product. It's about getting people and these custom audiences and all this data and sending them to your entire brand system. Everything you have out there. As you've been seeing lately, we're not just about the e-commerce stores and single t-shirts or one product at a time. We're really building the empire in all of these niches where it's building the Shopify store and these social media followings and the email marketing followings. And we get into reoccurring box offers. And then we're getting into the higher end memberships. So all of that is part of this data where we're spending on these Facebook ads, getting people in our system, in our funnels, that's going to make us a profit instead of just worrying about that one-off sales trading like we were a lot in the past. Now, number 5, this 3-step process. I talked about this a little bit the other day in my post where we were really focused on testing last year and all our previous years of doing e-commerce. Find as many new products as we possibly can, throw as much on the wall as we possibly can, and then just kind of rolling with what sticks. Now, we still have this launch plan, but previously we'd go from that testing phase directly to scaling, just try and make as much money off of each individual product as possible and really do well at creating income streams, but not do well at creating the brand and the business and the long-term structure of what's really going on here. I mean, my end plan with a lot of these e-commerce stores is to sell them off for millions of dollars. So I have to have the foundation. I have to have the data. I have to have all of this in place so that when I hand all these pieces off, it's not going to be dependent on me to have success with this business. It's going to be about what I built. So it's not just this mind that's making it work. I can hand it off and be the value of those millions of dollars. So this second step, we've added a middle step there where we're building this foundation. This is, again, back to all the data and collecting all of that information that Facebook needs, that our business needs, so that we can do the proper scaling, not just thinking about scaling as many units as possible of this one product that's hot, but scaling, thinking about how can we turn these buyers into long-term buyers, increase that lifetime value into our reoccurring box offers. How can we market, retarget to those other areas of our brand that are going to really make us a lot of money? So it's a lot of in detail process when it comes to this scaling because we built a foundation of retargeting. We built a foundation of our email system, our back end. We have a main focus product. And that's really what's helping with our Facebook ads in 2017 is we're not just trading $10 ad costs for one single t-shirt sale, making us $10 profit. What we're getting here is now $10 ad spend that creates one single t-shirt sale creates a $350 lifetime value of that customer over the next 13 months. So that's an example of really just thinking the long term with our Facebook advertising strategy. And you're going to see a lot more of this. I have a private training event coming up next week on Thursday. I'm going to open the doors to that this upcoming Thursday, the end of the month on March here. And pretty much I'm going to go through these 3-step process where step 1, diving into the testing, how we're using these higher budgets, broader audiences, and our duplication to get our testing started off a little bit quicker, finding winners a lot quicker. Like I said, we're spending a lot more money this year, but we're finding a lot more winners quicker. We're finding a lot more big winners quicker, which is making up that profit on huge amounts. And then secondly, we're going to dive into the second process, which is that foundation, the retargeting, the single interest advertising, the testing on that level, looking at our placements, all those different areas of creating the foundation so that we can properly do the third step of the process, and that is the scaling, where we're going to be selling as much as we possibly can and thinking about the long term in place. So on Thursday, you're going to see the doors open to that private event where I'm going to be diving into those 3-step process. And you're going to see a lot more of this over the upcoming weeks. I'm going to share some case studies. Got a lot of great stuff coming for you where we're going to show you just what's working for us in 2017 with Facebook advertising. Hopefully it will help you guys at any level, wherever you are. Hopefully you'll be able to add a few nuggets here and there that will be able to give you some success and some better sales for the rest of the year. So guys, my name is Travis Patel. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a good one.